All right. Welcome to software testing workshop number 2. What is our goal? Don't forget your goal whenever you sit in any meetings or sessions. Our goal here is to understand your need, provide software testing training to all of you as learners, provide foundation for new learning on advanced topics in manual and other types of testing, instill confidence in participants to switch careers or progress in IT. Now, let's make this an interaction. Okay, what do you see here? What do you see here? The switch. Okay, what are the different status of a switch? The switch can be in on status or off status. Clear to everybody? The switch can be in on or off. Let me open my Excel. Let me know if you are able to see my Excel. Are you able to see? One switch. Okay, the status can be on or off. Clear to everybody? Everybody is able to see? On, off. Santosh, are you able to see? Shailaja, Jennifer?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, on or off. How many is one? Very, very important concept. Please focus. Ambroni, just let us know if you have any doubts so that we can immediately stop and clarify to you. So one switch we saw in the image, it has an on position, it has an off position. On, off. Good. What about this? How many status or how many statuses does a coin have? Head, tail. Very easy. If you know this, then you can become a software tester. You already are a software tester now. If you tell me the switch is having the on or off status, and a coin can have maximum of 2 status, head or tails. Clear to everybody? Good. Now let's understand from the continuation of workshop 1, what is the difference between SDLC and SDLC ones. SDLC means software development lifecycle. SDLC stands for software test lifecycle. Clear? So software development means all the phases that are involved in developing a software product. A software product can be a web application or a desktop application or any other software that is going to be embedded into a device. Okay? Or any other software that is going to be used in any of the other areas like artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics. Even those are software. See, one thing what we forget is we think software means only web application. Wrong. Software means any code, any instruction that you can embed into a device. Now take for example, you had the pulse meter or you had the oxygen device which we have all used in last couple of years, right? There was a device which used to tell you how much oxygen is there and all this kind of stuff. Each of these devices has or have software within them. Hardware plus software is what will achieve your end result along with the battery and other things. Okay, I'm not going to the details because this is not an electronic session. I'm just telling it at a high level. So inside SDLC, you are having something called as testing. What are the activities that is involved in testing is what I have mentioned here. Testing means Gopal is a tester, Santosh is a tester, somebody else is a tester. He has to understand what is the requirement. Then he has to plan. Then he has to design the tests. Then he needs to set up the environment, execute the test, and then he has to report the outcome. I repeat, requirement analysis, planning, design, environment setup, execute what you design on this environment is called test execution, and then you have test closure. Okay, clear to everybody? Just put it in the chat message. You're clear, so I can move forward. Next, beautiful thing which nobody told me when I started my career. We just joined the team. We don't know who are all there in the project. Simply we just joined. Then it took 6 months for us to realize who are all part of the project. That is the way people operate. So you have to be alert because it will waste your time. A project team typically consists of a product owner. We saw in the previous slides, sponsor. After sponsor, you have a product owner. Product owner, under him reports project manager. For a project manager, you have an architect who's a software architect. You have developers. You have user interface and user experience team. You have software testers, and you have business analyst. A project manager manages the entire team and reports to the product owner on the status. A software architect designs the software. Okay, a developer will do the coding. Inside the design, you need to do coding. See, an architect for a building will design the building. The worker will be the one who will go and put the bricks, mix the cement, and then try to build the wall, build other things that is required as part of the overall project. So that is developer. UI UX team is the one who designs the website, right? How it should look, where should I put an image, where should I put a drop down, where should I put something else? Should my image be of 10 pixels or should my image be 100 pixels? All these details are done by the UI UX team. Okay, the software testers ensures that whatever is being built is tested as per the requirement and then certified. Business analyst will gather the requirements from the product owner and he will hand over to the team so that the project can be developed. See, one of the questions that keeps coming up every now and then is, why do we need testers? You'll be hearing this 1,000 times. Why do we need testers? We only will test. Why do we need testers? We only will test. Business analyst will test. Developer will test. Even I can design a wall. You can design a wall. But will you do that? You don't, it's not easy to build a wall. You know, if you start building a wall, you will know how difficult it is. Recently, we had to construct a small wall. The workers without the supervision started to construct the wall and the wall started to tilt. Then the supervisor came, he broke the wall. Again, he gave proper instructions, supervised it, and then constructed the wall. Very, very simple thing. You try this when you're at leisure or at home. Try to build like some 10 bricks in one single line. Try to put some cement and sand into it. You will not be able to build it. So why I'm giving this example to you is, you need to understand the difference between an architect and a developer. Okay. The architect will tell, here is the place you need to write this part of the code. Here is a place where you need to use some kind of a variable. Here is the place where you have to store it in the table. Here is the place which should write a code which will take the help of server. Okay. So all these things are decided by the architect and developer will develop. Simple example, take the example of a construction. You have an architect, you have a mason, or you have a worker who comes and builds the wall, puts the roof and all this kind of stuff. Okay, clear? You be clear about project team, because you imagine that you are sitting in a software company on day one, and then you should know who are all there in your project. If you know this, at least it will give you confidence to ask questions. You can ask who is a business analyst, who is the developer, does the project have an architect? Okay, this is a typical structure. Now within this, you have software testers. Now, who does the testing team, or what does the testing team consist of? The testing team consists of usually a manager on top. Okay, someone he reports to is called a test director. You can give different titles. Each company is having different titles. Okay, now within the testing team, you can have manual testing team. You have automation team, which works on scripting, performance testing team, security testing team. Simple thing you keep: manual, automation, performance, security. How do you remember? MAPS, MAPS. Manual, automation, performance, security. Okay, we are not worried about automation now. We are not worried about performance. We are not worried about security. We are talking here about manual testing team. Our goal is to get a job in manual testing. And there are thousands of jobs available in manual testing. With last session, this session and next session, preparing a resume and trying for a job, nobody should stop you. And I am confident that you will be able to work within an organization with the knowledge what you are going to gain from these sessions. Okay, be confident. Now, one of the questions that always people will ask is, what is quality assurance? What is quality control? Okay, quality assurance means you are telling the school children that form a queue and go to the playground. That is assurance. That is defining the process, defining the order. Now, when the school children will line up and go to playground, you are ensuring that whatever has been defined is being followed. That is control. Quality assurance, quality control. Quality assurance defines on how to achieve quality. Quality control ensures on implementing those procedures and then ensuring that the quality is achieved. Go by the example. The school headmaster has told all the children to form a line and then go to the playground. That is the procedure or process. Now, you as a class teacher, you are going to ensure that the school children or the class students are following the instruction to form a single line, go to the playground. That is control. So in the case of quality assurance, okay, the quality required is fulfilled. Approach is proactive. The headmaster defined the process is proactive. Focus is on process. Each phase of the software development process needs to be managed. Go back to our cooking example, right? You cannot be alert only in the beginning during cooking. You need to be alert till the time you start, till you finish, so that you can prepare or you can cook a good dish. The same way, quality assurance in software projects cannot happen at one point of time. It has to happen continuously from the requirement stage till the production deployment and usage by the users. Okay, who participates? The entire team participates. Activity is verification. One of the interview questions what you will get is, what is verification? What is validation? You will get confused. I got confused with verification validation for 2 years. How do I remember today verification validation? Reverse alphabetical order. Verification, validation. Alphabetical order is validation, verification, VA, VE. This is reverse alphabetical order, verification, validation. Quality assurance is verification, quality control is validation. Is that clear to everybody? Very, very important. And quality control is reactive. You are checking something what the developer has done. Ideally, if the developer has done everything correctly, there is no need for you to check. But the real world doesn't work like that. Okay, whatever has been developed, you have a doubt, you are verifying. That is why it is reactive. Okay. After the product is developed, but prior to distribution. By heart this sentence. Control parts. Individually you will check and later you will check everything together. Right? Testing team, validation. So validation is done by the testing team. Okay, clear? How many tires are there in this JCB? How many tires are there in this JCB? Very no hidden agenda here with the image. Simple, what you see on the road. I put this image. How many tires are there in this JCB? Anybody? 3 visible, 1 hidden. Okay. Very good. So now next, let's look at the next image. Here, they are putting puncture for a tire. Seeing these two images, can you please tell me which tire this could be? Which tire could this be? Front tire or back tire? Front tire or back tire? Ideally, hidden one, back hidden. Okay. Why back hidden? That's an assumption, no? This tire also, there is no relationship between this, right? This can be the tire for which the puncture is being put. It can also be this tire because in the image it is very difficult for you to judge the height of the tire. Correct? It can be any of the 4 tires in this JCB, could be this one where the puncture is being put or they're trying to fix it. So see, simple thing, as a tester, don't assume. Ask for clarity and then move forward. And one of the experience based comment that I want to tell you even today is when you go to a meeting of 4 people or 10 people in an organization, 80% of the people thinks that the other person knows what needs to be done. And even if you think the other person knows, then you are going to fail. Don't assume. Don't assume. Here to everybody. See, this is a classic case of how you start giving answers without thinking. This tire that you see could be one of these. We don't know. We need to ask, what is the dia of the tire? What is the diameter of the tire? What is the diameter of this tire? What is the diameter of this tire? So if the diameter is more, then one assumption can be this one. If the diameter is more and you are able to conclude that this is the tire, then the second option is whether it is a left side back tire or right side back tire. See, very simple concept. You got 2 conditions. Clear? That is how the certifying by testing versus testing is different. Go back to my previous comment. I said everybody in the company, everybody will say, I will test it, I will test it. We don't need Gopal, we don't need Santosh, we don't need Jennifer, we don't need Shailaja, we don't need another person like that. But are you ready to certify? No. The challenge here is to certify. Even I can become a doctor today. I can give Saridan for headache. But can you guarantee me that there is no side effects for Saridan? I don't know. Then I can't be a doctor. So a software tester is required on project because he just does not test. He certifies the product. You have to keep this in mind. Certification is a very tough job. That is why you and me are employed. That is why opportunities in testing are more. Because we need people who can certify. And you need to skill yourself in such a way that you can certify. If you just tell at a surface level, then everybody will tell at the surface level. Then there is no difference between a tester and a non-tester. A tester has to understand in depth and certify the product. Clear? I'll just move on. Most important thing, doing right thing versus doing things right. Doing right thing versus doing things right. What is the difference? Can anybody unmute and tell me this, please? Anybody wants to attempt? I see a tiger in wild. Wild means in the forest. So can I go to the vegetable market and see a tiger? Can I go to the forest and see a tiger? Can I go to movie theater and see a tiger? I'm talking about live tiger, okay, real tiger, not the tiger on the screen. So let's see what it is, okay. Go to forest to see the tiger. I want to see a tiger in the wild. I go to forest to see the tiger. So this is the right thing. Right thing to do is to see the tiger, you have to go to forest. Okay, now you identify this right thing and then you go to park to see the tiger. That is 4 combination. You did the right thing, but you did not do things right. You found the right thing to do. Clear to everybody? See, this will confuse you. Doing right thing to do this. I want to see a tiger in the wild is to go to forest. But what are you doing? You are going to a park. So you identified what needs to be done and you went to the wrong place. You found the right thing, but you did not do the things right. You go to forest to see the tiger and you went to forest to see the tiger. The right thing, things right. Let's assume I want to see a tiger in wild. You go to shopping mall to see a tiger. That is what somebody will tell you and you believe it. First step itself is wrong. The right thing itself is wrong. So your end result will be wrong. So you say, I go to forest to see the tiger and I go to the forest. That is what is required. You have to first find the right thing and do things right. Then only the success is given. This is very important because in testing, you need to understand what is the right thing to do for testing. After identifying the right thing for testing, you doing all those things that you have identified will give you quality. Clear to everybody? Good. Now coming back to testing development process. Testing development process consists of 4 steps. Test methodology, test plan, designing the test, executing the test. Test methodology, right thing. To see the tiger in the forest. Test plan. How will I go to the forest? By bus, by walk, by aeroplane, by car, by train. That is planning. When will I go? Should I go in the morning or should I go in the night? You cannot spot a tiger in daytime. You can spot tiger only in the night time. If you go in the daytime, it doesn't make sense. So you need to plan. Designing the test, right? If you're going in the night, you have to equip yourself. You have to have a proper dress. You have to have a proper shoes. You have to have a binocular. You might want to have a camera. You want to have other safety measures. That is what is designing. And then executing the plan. You have identified to go to forest, you have to go by bus, but you go to railway station. That will not give you the results. So, you know, for making this software to work, these are the 10 things that you need to do, but you don't do it. Then the quality will not come. Designing the test analysis, test design. Okay. Test methodology. The test design process can be done in different ways, from very informal to very formal way. Whatever the testing that most of the team members do who are not testers do it in the informal way. Informal means there's no documentation. They randomly do things and then move forward. The level of formality depends on the context of the testing, right? So the maturity of the testing process, the maturity of the development process. See, every organization is not at the same stage. Each organization is at a different stage, right? If there are 10 students in a class, all students need not grasp the concept at the same time. The same way, organization also are in different stages based on their experience, based on the number of projects they have implemented. Organization, time constraint, people involved. So suppose you will go and tell, I need 10 hours to do testing. People will say, do it in 2 hours. In 2 hours, whatever possible, you have to highlight it, then do it. Then say what you can achieve in that 2 hours. What you can achieve in 10 hours, you cannot achieve in 2 hours because you are not a superhuman, right? You are not having any magic stick or anything like that, magic wand, where you can achieve what needs 10 hours in 2 hours. Clear? So keep this point in mind. 4W1H is a very important concept. You have to apply this day in, day out, not just in software testing, but also in your personal life. Every activity you do, apply this concept so that you exactly know what you're doing, how you're doing, and it will be efficient and optimized. 4W1H is what, when, why, where, how. Now, when a requirement is given for you for testing, you have to apply this. Why am I showing this? This is not personality development class, but still I am showing you this because when a requirement is given for you, think what are you testing here in this functionality? And when are you supposed to test in the project life cycle? Right? You don't test headlight on the road daytime, right? If you're a tester, you will test whether the headlight is working daytime and nighttime, and it is intended to be used in the nighttime. When is important, which stage of the project, whether the project after developer gives the first module or after the developer gives the second module, you have to decide that is when and why you are testing. What is the end purpose? What are you testing? Why are you testing this? Most of the time, you will not even know why you are testing in software projects. You have to ask and find out, because remember the word, 80% of the people in project team thinks that the other person knows. And where are you supposed to test? Which environment? Are you supposed to test on Windows? Are you supposed to test on Apple Mac? Are you supposed to test on Linux? Are you supposed to test in North America region? Are you supposed to test in Asia region? These are some of the things you have to start triggering in your mind and ask this question when somebody says, go and test this requirement. And how do you test it? Right? How do you test? Whether you will open the browser, whether it is an exe file, whether any other mode is there, whether any device is going to be given. You test. I'm going to give 2 examples in my life which sent shocking and shivering messages to all of us in our department. Okay. I was working in 2000 for an organization where we used to simulate the working of an electronic device like VCR, VCP. In those days, we had music player, MP3 player, MP4 player like that. That time, 1,000 CD changer came. Okay, in those days it was there. Now CD is all outdated. 1,000 CD changer came, and my friend, he just went. He got excited seeing that. He took that device, he plugged it into the electrical socket, and he switched it on. And there was a sound, and the device stopped working. Okay. Now, why am I telling this? In those days, our salary was around 10,000 rupees. But this device which got burnt because of the switch, what he switched it on, was around 1 lakh. That means our 10-month salary had to be paid because we damaged that device. What was the reason for that? He did not do any mistake. See, we in this part of the country or in this part of the continent, we have little lethargy to read instructions. I'm sorry to say that it includes me also. Whenever you have a device, whenever you have a booklet, you don't read the instruction. You assume you know everything and you move forward. What did happen in this case? What happened in this case is the device was supposed to work in 110 volt, but in India we use 220, 240 volts. Nobody told him. We did not read the instruction. We don't know what is the difference between 110 volts and 220 volts because we are not from the electrical background. So the electrical sockets in Europe and North America work on 110 volts. But in India and some of the other countries, it works at 220 volts. First thing is, don't assume. You understand, right? He lost the job. He lost the job and he could not pay that money also because it was 10 months salary worth of that price. 1,000 CD changer. I'll give second example and then we'll move forward. The second example is there was a meeting at 10 o'clock scheduled. We logged in. Customer did not come on the call. We were happy. We went for tea, coffee break. We went for a long lunch. Then we come back from lunch and there is an escalation. So 10 o'clock was the meeting. We logged in, no mistake from our side. Perfect. We went for vacation and whatever movie lunch we had and we came back. Escalation is there. We got afraid because escalation means you know what happens after escalation. What had happened is in some parts of the world, in India, we don't follow this. In Europe, there is something called as daylight savings. Daylight savings, the time clock will change once in 6 months, approximately half an hour, 1 hour, they move the clock. That means 10 o'clock becomes 11 and then they'll work because that is a part of the energy savings. Now, what was that day 10 o'clock was supposed to be 11 o'clock our time. The customer logged 11 o'clock our time and then he saw that none of us were there. He logged out, but we logged out at 10 o'clock. End of the day, what I'm trying to say here is there are many things that you don't know in this part of the world, especially India, like daylight savings. So you have to be alert. You have to know things like this to be successful because one escalation is good enough, right? So that's why 4W1H is very, very, very important. Okay, clear? Next, preparations. Before we start testing, we need to know what are we trying to test, what are the inputs, what are the results, how do we prepare the test, how do we run the test, when do we test. We will have to look at conditions, test cases, test procedures. I know it's a lot of information. You might be feeling bored, but I will tell you, the testing techniques are not going to be successful to you unless you know these points. That's why I'm covering this from a completely practical standpoint. Okay, it might look like theory, but I will say you please focus on what I'm saying and then you try to understand. Let us look at test conditions. Now, what are the conditions? Can you please tell me what is the different conditions that will be applied when I go for the second switch? What are the different combinations of this? Can you tell me what are the different combinations? First switch, I'll not say one switch, I'll say first switch. I will say here second switch. So let's look at it. Okay. Absolutely spot on. I'm coming to the testing world. Okay. The first switch can be off. The first switch can be off and the second switch also can be off. The first switch can be on. The second switch can be on. Clear? Straightforward scenario. Both are off. Both are. In another case, the first switch can be off. The second can be on. First one is on. Second one is off. Clear with the scenarios? What are the different scenarios for a switch? Very simple concept. I want you to be alert, understand, and move forward. Okay. 1 second. It's hanging up. Okay. Clear with the two switches? Okay. On, off, off, on, off, on. 4 scenarios. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, what is the big deal in this? Why do we need to be part of the training program to understand this? Agree. Now let's go to the next one. Third switch. Tell me. First, second, third. How many combinations will come for this? How will you identify it? Number of combinations.
Okay.
There are 2 states for each switch and there are 3 switches. How many total combinations will be formed? How many switches are here?
3 switches.
How many combinations?
8.
I am telling you one secret, okay? Don't tell to anybody. 3 to the power of 2. Okay, power will handle power later. 3 to the power of 2 is 3 square. 3 square is 3 into 3, 9. This is a way to calculate number of variables to the power of 2. Okay, because there is 2 status here. What if there is 3 status here? Look at the complexity, how it goes. This is where a software tester role is defined. A developer may do this, but the software tester is expected to do this. Not always you have only 2 states. You will have more states. Right? Let us look at this combination. Okay. First switch is off. Second is off. Third is off. Correct? Is that correct? I want you to answer my question. Off. Then on. Off. Off.
Sir, there will be 8 combinations.
There will be 8.
Yes, sir. It's 2 cube actually.
On. Is that correct? Off, 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 on. Next. Off, off. Second switch. On, off. Correct? On and on. Clear? Okay, what is the next one? What is the next combination? What is the next combination? See, look at the complexity. I'm just giving a demo of the complexity. Off, on. Okay. Then off, on. Next. This will be
On.
on. So four
On.
combinations of off is there, right? The four combination of off, on will come here. So is it 3 power 2 or
2 power
what?
3, sir. 2 power 3.
2 to the power of 3.
Yes.
Simple concept. You are asked to test a switch on the website. There are 3 switches. Any other combination? On, off. Everything is there. Good. So the correct answer is 2 to the power of 3. That is equal to 2 into 2 into 2. 8. What will happen if I include one more thing? Neutral or something like that. Status. Each switch can be in neutral status. Now what will happen?
Yep.
3 to the power of 3?
No, sir. 2 power 4.
2 to the power of 4?
Yes.
How? 4?
Because the four states are there. Or you included fourth switch.
No. I'm having 3 status.
Okay.
You're getting what I'm saying? Neutral. This is a homework for you. Please try this and be ready in the next class. Each switch has 3 statuses: on, off, neutral. There are a total of 3 switches. Tell me how many statuses or combinations is possible here. Okay. Software testing consists of making sure you test these switches, whether off, whether expected result is there. Expected result. What is the expected result? This is the test condition. This is the expected result. No lamp should be lit or no lamp should be on. Clear? In this case, what happens? Only the third lamp has to be lit. In this case, only the second lamp has to be lit. I am teaching you how to prepare test cases here with test data. Okay, I'm going into the concepts. Second and third lamp has to be lit. Only the first lamp has to be lit. First and third lamp has to be lit. First and second lamp has to be. All lamps have to be lit. Clear? Now what will happen Sachin Tendulkar has written this test case, and maybe KL Rahul will execute. When KL Rahul will execute, he will go put the switches and he'll put the actual results. Pass, 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 fail, pass. Now for this fail, you are going to log a bug. Clear to everybody? Now I taught you what is expected result, what is the actual result, and then what do you do when you have a failed scenario or failed case. A scenario is not same as test case. We will look into the details later. We have who defined the test case? Sachin Tendulkar. Who executed? KL Rahul. Who will log the bug? KL Rahul. Whoever is finding the bug will log the bug. Okay? Clear to everybody? So logging a bug. Let's go back to the PPT and see some more additional concepts. Okay. Okay. Let's go to the PPT. Now, as part of test planning, you have three things: scope, cost, schedule. Scope means what are we testing, what is not included, what are we testing, where are we testing. That is scope. What is your scope? Right? See, you go to some restaurants where you have to go deposit the plate in a counter after you eat. So the scope of that particular person who is operating in that restaurant is to serve you food, but his job is not to clean the table. That is scope. I will ensure my application is working in Chrome browser. That is my scope. I am not responsible for any bugs found in another browser, Firefox browser, Safari browser. Got it? So scope means what? Where this browser, which is the browser which is in the scope. I will test there. That is scope. Out of scope is browser which is not defined in the requirement document. Now, what is the other point of view? Cost is important. How many laptops do you need to test? How many licenses do you need? Because some softwares come with license. How many people? Which part of the world? If a person from India will test, it will cost $10. If a person from USA will test, it will cost $100. This is not a decision that you do as a software tester, but it is good to know that these kind of decisions happen on top. Maybe your test manager is deciding, your project manager is deciding, your test director is deciding. There will be applications where it cannot be accessed in other parts of the world. There are some applications which can be accessed locally. It can be accessed only in USA. You cannot access in India. So those cases, either you travel to on-site and then test it there, or you connect to the remote desktop via a private network or Citrix. They call it as Citrix. Citrix will help you connect to remote desktops, then you will test it. Got it? One of the biggest mistakes that people do is they will try to open the application, they will say application is not working. Because the application is not working because it is not in your network. You have to log into Citrix onto another network, and then test the application. These are some of the common mistakes which will irritate the developer, which will irritate the project team. You're getting it right? You are going to post office to give a police complaint. You are going to police station to collect your post. It is that kind of a mistake. You need to understand how you will access the application. Schedule, when are you supposed to test? This is another problem of the tester. Before the build will come, before the application is ready for testing, he will test and he will log a bug. Then everybody will jump on the tester telling that you tested it before the application was released. Schedule is important. When are you supposed to test? Whether it should be tested in daytime, whether it has to be tested when some other job is running, when some other activity is happening, whether you have to test at the end of the month, whether you have to test on a Friday evening, whether you have to test at the end of the year, all these combinations you have to think as part of testing. Clear to everybody what is test planning? Scope, cost, schedule. Always put this question: scope, cost, schedule. Cost may not be required from a tester angle. Scope and schedule are two important aspects. See, I was working for an application 1 month. Previous to that, the team which I inherited from another manager was working for 2 years. They are testing simply something. I asked, how will you log into the application? I said, I'm not even understanding how you log into this application. You are testing something. Everybody said, why you did not ask this in KT? You should have asked that time. You should have asked your previous manager like that. But the fact is, none of the people in the project had really understood how this application will be accessed by the end user. It is like constructing a house and nobody knows how to go inside the house. If you listen to this, you will feel I'm hyping it up. No. Situations are happening today in the software projects, even today. So you as a tester has to be or have to be alert. Ask questions, be clear. Then only you can give quality. Like doctor, you're like a doctor to the application. If a patient will come and say, my hand is paining, you have to ask which hand, left hand or right hand. Simply you cannot assume it is right hand, or you cannot assume it is left hand. Clear to everybody? Test planning consists of scope, cost, and schedule. Okay, let's go to the next one. Test analysis. The test basis documentation is analyzed in order to determine what to test. Identify the test conditions. Whatever we saw here is a test condition. On, off is what we saw in this example. This is a test condition. First one is off, second one is off, third one is off. This is a test condition. Clear to everybody? Any doubts? Any doubts? Perfect. You come back to me next class. Any doubts there? Test condition is equal to an item or event that could be verified by one or more test cases. We'll come to what is test case. Test condition examples. All users logging from India onto the website must see Indian flag on top right corner. This is a test condition. If an user has registered himself on the website and he has selected the country as a non-India, then the Indian flag should not come. That is a test condition. Now, what are the test conditions for this first example? How many continents are there in the world? How many continents are there in the world?
7.
7 continents. Very important concept. I'm giving you very General examples which will look like sometimes sleepy, don't sleep. Okay, Australia, Asia, Europe, Africa, North America, South America. Then what else? Antarctica, what Antarctica? And then Arctic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, what is it? All users logging in from India. So, in this case, you will take one user from Australia, two users from Asia, one from India, the other one is non-India. One from Europe, one from Africa, one from North America, one from South America, one from Antarctica, one from Arctic. How many test conditions are there here to certify this functionality? $1 million question. You understand this fundamental? I am telling you, you can learn up to 25 lakhs in next 5 years. This is the mistake 99% of the testing people do. And they lose promotions, they lose appraisals. You answer this question, similar questions correctly, you can become a tester next day morning. I'm not trying to hype it. Okay, please see. All users logging from India onto the website must see Indian flag on top of right corner. So this website is accessible across the world, and any user from any part of the world can register. Clear to everybody? So now what will you do? You are a tester. You are supposed to see Indian flag is coming. So what are the two conditions? Indian user see Indian flag. Non-Indian user, you will see no flag. Ideally, you should be telling me, hey, why we are using so many conditions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are total 9 test conditions here. According to you, with common sense, you will tell only 2 conditions is 2 scenarios or 2 cases is good to certify this. But what is that you're doing here? 9 conditions. That is because somebody did not tell you that don't worry, that when a user from other country is logged in or registering it, then we don't enable the flag. Ideally, this is the minimum number of test cases to be tested. Minimum scenarios to be tested. This is the maximum number of scenarios to be tested. Minimum, maximum, minimum, maximum. Okay, let's take an example. Okay, now you are going to a restaurant, maybe Andhra style restaurant, where they will give unlimited rice to eat. Right? You go first day, what will happen? You will eat 2 kgs of rice. You feel happy. You feel happy that whatever money you gave, more than that, you eat. Agree to this scenario? All of you agree to this scenario? Unlimited food or rice, whatever. Okay, let me call it as unlimited food. You will eat 2 kgs. You feel happy with whatever money you give next day. Today is Sunday. You're going Monday. The condition remains same. How much will you eat next day? 2 kgs. You are happy. You're happy you ate. Next day, Tuesday, unlimited food to eat. You will eat how much? 2 kgs. You feel happy? Very good. Now let's go to next day. Unlimited food to eat remains. How much will you eat here? Maybe 1 kg because you got bored. After some days, you will eat half kg. After some days, you will eat 100 grams. Agree to this scenario? Why am I giving this example? What is this guy doing? Why is he giving these examples? The question is, when you are having only one test case, you can do 9 test conditions and do maximum. But when you're testing, you will have thousands of test cases to test. If you sit and do maximum for all of the test cases, there will be no time for you. The project development takes 3 months. And if you tell testing takes 12 months, nobody is going to entertain that. Look at this scenario. Whatever you are supposed to eat, also you are not eating. The same way, whatever minimum scenarios are there, that also you are not able to do over a period of time because your mind has stopped working. Because you are tired of executing first 10 test cases, maximum scenarios. Clear to everybody? So this is where the role of a tester changes. It's important to test in an optimized way. You cannot test all scenarios all the time. That is why your experience matters. What is the difference between 0-year tester and a 10-year-old tester is optimization. If the 10-year tester, 10-year experienced tester is not able to tell an optimized way to test, he is not adding value to the project. Is it clear to everybody? You may ask that, hey, no, that guy is 10 years. No, don't worry about your number of years of experience. The value addition, what you give on project is what matters. Clear? Shashanka, Santosh, Shailaja, Jennifer. Optimized way. Optimized means what? Not maximum, not minimum. Midway. Your experience will teach you how to test in an optimized way. The more optimized you are able to test, the more salary you will get. Take it from me. I'm telling you. Let's go to the next one. Clear with this scenario? See, I am teaching you test design. Test case design is what I'm trying to teach you. The rest is all English. Whatever you are seeing is English. You feel happy, all those things are English. Now, what is the minimum number of scenarios you have to identify? That is only test design, which nobody will teach you. Everybody will tell how to write test case, but they will not tell you how to write optimized test cases. Identifying the optimized test conditions is test design. That is what will help you crack the interviews. That is what will help you break barriers within the organization once you join for promotion and hikes. Let's go to the second scenario, okay? What is the second scenario? Nearest hospital address must be displayed based on user location. Beautiful test case. Beautiful scenario. Hospital address must be displayed based on the user location. Tell me what you can do now. What are the test conditions to identify? Go back. Don't jump. Don't jump to write test cases. See how this will help you. Apply 4W1H. What are you testing here? Ask the question. What are we testing in this scenario? Are we testing the accuracy of the hospital address? Or are we checking whether the correct hospital is shown? See, simple scenario. I think your brains have started to work as a software tester. Nearest hospital address must be displayed based on the user location. That is what the requirement business analyst has given you. Developer is reading on his own and everybody is working from home. Developer is reading this, he is trying to implement, he may not ask questions, he may not even be working on it. But you as a tester, they will say in the next 2 days, give me all the test cases related to this scenario. What is that? So don't jump on this thing, ask questions. Business analyst might have given one line. It doesn't mean you have to start writing test cases. So what is the first question? What are we testing in this scenario? Are we testing the accuracy of the hospital address? Or are we checking whether the correct hospital is shown? When are we testing this? When are we testing? Is the user walking? Is the user in train or aeroplane or driving? Whatever. When are we testing this? Next, why are we testing this? What is why? Why do we test this? We are testing this to bring up the registration form for the ambulance driver to fill when he is en route. What is the next question you need to ask this? How will an ambulance driver fill it when he is driving the ambulance? Correct? Now the next question what will come to you is, he has a voice-based assistant. When he speaks, the form will get automatically filled. When he says submit, the emergency in hospital identified will get notified. Imagine if this feature comes in India. I'm just making this up as we speak. So this is a business idea. One of you can take it and implement. When he has a voice-based assistant, when he speaks, the form will get automatically filled. When he says submit, the emergency in hospital identified will get notified. So why do we test? You got the answer. Next is what? Where are we testing? How will you simulate ambulance? Where are you testing? In the testing lab? Or will you get into ambulance and then test it. Getting, see how many questions are coming up. How are we testing? How are we testing? Because if the hospital address has to come, the current location has to be fetched. Voice-based assistant devices must be available. How will I know the form submitted to the hospital status? How will I know? How will I know the form was submitted to the hospital software system? Clear? See, look at this. One line you got. But where are you ending it up? If you ask these questions, then you're 100% clear. I will give one practical example, okay? See, people will say, test it on mobile, test it on mobile, test it on mobile. Customer will tell from America or Europe, test it on mobile. You will tell, test it on iPhone 25. But the fact will be, there will be no iPhone available in India, which is iPhone 25. Maybe you may have iPhone 14 in India. People will go accept and come. They'll give you the task. You will think somebody will take care of iPhone 25. When the actual day comes for testing, you will not have iPhone 25 with you in the lab or in your company. Then everybody will start blaming you, telling that why did you not ask this question on day one? So if you apply 4W1H for some time continuously, any problem that you face will get automatically resolved through proper questioning and proper action items. This has happened. Customer is expecting that this software will work in iPhone 25, which is available in North America. But you are sitting in India. iPhone 25 is not there today in India. How will you test and certify? You cannot test and certify. Then the customer will feel frustrated that you are not able to certify. Without certifying, he doesn't want to release. Somebody in your company went and signed a contract that you will test it on the latest mobile device. Nobody has mentioned the version number of the mobile. The latest version according to him is iPhone 14. But customer is expecting iPhone 25. That is why asking these questions is very important. When you say test it on mobile, you have to ask Android or Apple. Which version of Android? Which device? Which company? These questions play an important role in your test coverage. Test coverage means where and all you are testing what scenarios. We talked about the browser, right? You're going to test this software only in Chrome, not in Safari, not in Firefox. That is test coverage. Clear to everybody? Any doubts? Any questions? Are you feeling interested? It's very, very easy. I'll tell you, getting a job in software testing is very easy. Don't struggle. Your entry to IT industry is guaranteed with this thing. No institute will teach you this. I can guarantee you that. Okay. Scope, cost, schedule, you understand. Test conditions. Beautiful example we took. Nearest hospital address must be displayed based on the user location. Now let us come to age of voting must be equal to or greater than 18. Do you want to take a quick minute on pen and paper near you? Do you want to put the test conditions? Take a pen and paper. Put the test condition for age of voting must be equal to or greater than 18.
Three conditions.
So there is a concept called boundary value analysis. Let us take the example of 20 to 80. Here the minimum is 20, maximum is 80. What boundary value analysis says is test near the borders. Minimum plus 1, that is 20 plus 1, 21. Maximum 80 plus 1, 81. And then minimum minus 1, 20 minus 1, 19. Maximum minus 1, 79. Since 0 is a problematic number in case of division and multiplications, mainly in divisions, you have to use 0 and then test, because how the system will handle undefined is very, very important. So now you learned a concept called boundary value analysis. The boundary value analysis in all training institutes, they will teach it as a test case design technique. Having said that, that is not an accurate statement. Boundary value analysis is not a test case design technique. It is a test data identification technique. I have done 600 interviews. Almost 599 interviews. I can guarantee you people don't know how to define boundary value analysis. I'm not hyping it. I'm just putting a practical fact on why attention to detail is important. Boundary value analysis will not tell you how many test cases to write. It will only give you a data combination, which is going to be an input to the test case. Okay, you will have one test case, but the input is different. You have one mixie in your house. You have one juice maker in your house. You put different fruits inside the juice maker and you get different juice. You will not buy 10 juice makers because you are going to buy 10 fruits in next 1 month. A test case can have the test data embedded within the test case, or they can have the test data outside. Let me show you what it means. How you will have to write this. Now take for example, this is an application. Think like that, okay? This is a web application. Enter your age. This is the value where you have to enter. Now what is the test case? The test case will say, log into the application, www.voting.com. Okay, enter the password, enter the user ID, or I already said login. So you can assume that it is logged in. So what should happen? Log into the voting means expected result. What is the expected result? The expected result is the post login page must be visible. Enter the age equal to 18. The value must be accepted in the text box and the number 18 must be visible. Clear? So this is one test case. Okay. Then after that, let's assume submit button is there. Submit. You will say enter the submit button. You will say you are able to select the submit button and press click. Okay. Thank you note appears. This is a test case. This is written by, let's keep on hypothetical person. Okay. Somebody like, okay, some name. I am not getting a name. Let's say somebody by name Vishnu has written this application. Now another person by name Shiva will come. So he will say log into application, expect actual result. Okay. So actual result, okay, pass, pass, pass. pass. Now what will happen? Next day he will come. That time somebody will say, some Rajinikanth will tell, hey, don't do this with 18, do it with 24. Example, he will tell like that. Now what will happen here? Problem is, this test case is having the data embedded here. Now he has to go update the test case and then he has to execute the test case. Okay, this is again extra work. So what is the example here? The example is, in the test case, the test data is embedded. What is the other way of doing? The other way of doing is log into application. You can have one more column here. Test data. Enter the age. You will put like this. And the number must be visible. Okay. Now what will happen? Today you are executing, you'll put the date here, 30th of April. And then you will say test data is just 24. Tomorrow you will come. Okay. You will copy the same test case. You will say test data uses 0, 18, 19, 22, 32, 99, 100. See, if the test data is embedded within the test case, if you are using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 set of data, then you have to copy this test case 6 times, which is not practical when you actually do the work. Right? It's like preparing tea in a hotel. If he thinks that, no, I have to give fresh tea to the person who comes in, and then he starts preparing tea for every time somebody comes, imagine what will happen. In place of that, he will prepare it for like 20 people and then keep it. After 20, he will again prepare. That is the same concept here. If the test data is embedded within the test case, then you have a problem because the test data is embedded. Against that, you have to put pass or fail. So it cannot be reused. So instead of that, make it test case should not have test data within it. Test data can be outside. Then in that case, you can come here. Any number of times you can execute and then say pass, fail. Let's assume for 100 it is failing. You say failed for 100. And then you don't have to continue. Because if the failure happens, you can stop there, not execute it. Clear? You learned how to write test case. You know what is expected result. You know what is actual result. You know what is test data. You know why you should not embed test data into the test case. You know how to optimize. Optimization we just touched upon. Okay. It's a whole world there. When we talk about optimization, we talked about the optimization here, right? Instead of using 35 and 79, you can use 35 only because it will work. Okay, 0, always play around with 0. You will get a lot of defects. What is that we have not considered here? We have assumed. What is the assumption? The assumption is that there is no way it accepts alphabets. Otherwise, you have to test this for alphabet also. Alphabet, numbers, special characters, decimal digits. You don't know where the bug will come. You don't know where is the thief. The bug is the thief. The defect is the thief. You are a police officer. You should not assume that alphabet will not be accepted by the text box. So software testing is a detective job. You have to be smarter than the developer to find defects. The police has to be smarter than the thief. Clear? See, alphabets, numbers, special characters, decimal digits. What is special characters? Star, ampersand, open bracket, all these things we have to use. Clear? You know how it is test data. Let's go to the PPT. Next one, sample code. Int a equal to 10. If a is greater than 0, a is positive. positive, negative number. Now this should be easy for you to determine, right? What are all the things that needs to be done? Let me just quickly go through some slides. How many options here? 3 switches. Homework. Okay. Throw a wide net. First, identify as many test conditions as possible. Second, select which one to develop in more detail. We cannot test everything. We have to select a subset of all possible tests, but this subset must have a high probability of finding most of the defects in the system. Very, very, very important statement. We need a suitable test design technique to guide our selection and to prioritize the test conditions. Are you able to understand this sentence with what we have been discussing in the last 20 minutes? Test design, test case plus test data. Test case, a set of cases developed to cover certain test conditions. Preconditions, inputs, expected result, post conditions. Precondition means application must be open. Without opening the application, don't test. These are some of the preconditions. The precondition can be you are supposed to be in the login page. What is the input? Number, alphabets, special characters, decimal numbers. Expected result. What should happen if I put a number? What should happen if I put a decimal digit? What should happen if I put an alphabet? Test oracle is nothing but test requirements. In order to know what the system should do, we need to have a source of information, requirement document, correct behavior. Changes to data and state, output, any other consequence. If expected results have not been defined, then a plausible but erroneous result may be interpreted as the correct one. You are having cough, you went to doctor, he said corona. That is a classic case. Because when corona came, nobody defined the expected result. They said, okay, fever, cough, everything, even normal cough, they made it as corona. Right? Because there's no concrete definition of how to identify corona. Classic case, classic case. Expected results should ideally be defined prior to test execution. It's not like what you see is the correct thing. No. You have to define before itself and then test it. Test execution. In which order should you execute? Should I execute everything every time? That is a question you have to ask. By whom it has to be executed? What is the risk? What is the prioritization? What is the technical and logical dependencies? See, you are supposed to release this project tomorrow. Suddenly you will find a bug today. You cannot sit and test 1,000 test cases. You have to tell, okay, man, these are the 2 test cases that I will test because related to this functionality, the code is changing. And I take the risk and we take the risk. If anything else breaks up anywhere, that is how you have to go. This is an interview question. Risk-based testing. You identify the risk of not testing. You identify the risk of testing. And then you decide on what to test. I am in the bus stand. Bus is not there in the bus stand. I'll go to the train station. I take the risk that when I'm walking to the train station, the bus might come and I might miss the bus. I also take the risk that by the time I walk to the train station, I might miss the train also. So now you have to take a call whether you will continue to stay in bus stand where the bus has not come, or you are going to go to the railway station where the train is going to come, but whether you are able to reach or not. This is a risk-based decision. Similarly, your testing also will have to be calibrated based on the situation in the project based on the test results. Test execution outcome. Test case will fail or pass. If test case will fail, you log a problem. That is the defect which we discussed. If test case will pass, no further action is required. Classification of software failures. Interview question. Qualitative, non-quantitative. Quantitative is damages paid to organization for malfunctioning of software. Cost is refunded. Maintenance expense due to failure. These are all quantitative. Quantitative means what you can measure. Your marks on your marks card is quantitative. Your intelligence is qualitative. You're getting what I'm saying? Your intelligence, your emotional quotient, your behavior, your communication skills is all qualitative. If you see the marks on your marks card, then that is quantitative. A quantitative means money you're paying, money, $10,000 you're paying, 10,000 rupees you're paying. That's why it's quantitative. You can measure that. Non-quantitative damages means I am assuming that because of this bug, I might lose 100 customers, but I don't know. 100 customers are 99 or 101 or 150. That is non-quantitative. I assume that my sales will come down because of the lack of user experience on my website. That is non-quantitative because I don't know. I'm assuming that my business will come down because my website is not designed correctly. Classification of software failures endangers the safety of human beings. Go back to my first sentence. Software means it's not web application. The software is there in your medical device. Software is there in aeroplane. Software is there in your bus. Software is there in your mobile. Everywhere software is there. So if a software will not work properly in a train, if the software doesn't work properly in a train signaling system, then it has its consequence. Okay, affects an essential organization with no system replacement capability. Okay, malfunction of an entire system. It affects an organization, but a replacement is available. If a signal is not working in one place, you can deploy a policeman and control the traffic. Right? Affects proper functioning of software packages. Inconveniences the user, but does not prevent accomplishment of the system's capabilities. There is a delay in acknowledgement. That's okay. It's not damaging. Yeah, but we have to fix it. But if the payment itself is not going, then it's a problem. If the payment is successful in the payment gateway and acknowledgement is coming little late, that's okay. We have to fix it, but it's not an emergency. Software faults, errors, and failures. A software fault is a static defect in the software. A failure is external, incorrect behavior with respect to the requirements or other description of the expected behavior. Fault means something is fundamentally not working. There is not nothing to do with us. Static defect. It's like your power button in your laptop. That is a static defect. Power button itself is not working. After you press the power button, your system is not loading the operating system. That is a software failure. Software error is causing the failure. The error causes failure. The software error is the DLLs are corrupted. The files of the operating system are corrupted. An incorrect internal state, that is the manifestation of some fault. Getting it right? Interview question. What is fault, error, and failure? He will ask you this. Faults in software are equivalent to design mistakes in hardware. Maybe wear and tear. Your keyboard is not working. That is a fault because of wear and tear. So you stick to error in software, okay? Don't worry about fault. Fault and all you prepare for interview. Nobody will say, I found a fault in my application. They will say, I found an error or I found a defect, I found a bug. See here, software faults, errors, and failures. Example. A patient gives a doctor a list of symptoms, headache, leg pain, hand pain, something. These are the failures in the body. The doctor tries to diagnose the root cause. That is the fault. He is trying to understand what is the fault. The doctor may look for anomalous internal conditions. That is the error. Clear? What are the failures? Somebody will call and say, the transformer is not working. That is a failure. The electrician will come and check what is the fault. And he will tell why that fault has happened. The fault has happened because of an error. Because the wire has been disconnected because of a short circuit. You also will hear a lot of people calling it as bug life cycle. Bug is equal to defect is equal to error. B-E-D, bed. Bug, error, defect, all three means the same thing. Bug is used informally. Sometimes speakers mean fault, sometimes error, sometimes failure. Often the speaker doesn't know what it means. We have been speaking about this. Simply they will tell something in the meeting without understanding. This class will try to use the words that have precise, defined, and unambiguous meanings. So bug is equal to error equal to defect. BED. You remember that code word. Any questions?